It's still debatable whether war can really be considered a driver of progress. The desire to outpace the opponent in the arms race often overshadows reason, but at the same time, it fuels the realization of groundbreaking ideas and technologies. This was especially true during the Cold War, when the rivalry between two geopolitical blocs brought hundreds of brilliant engineers and scientists together in pursuit of the perfect weapon. Today we'd like to highlight the fruits of their labor, the most remarkable aircraft of that era, the most mass-produced, the fastest, and the most advanced. Let's start this book of records with the title for the most produced aircraft. The gold medal goes to one of the early jet fighters, the Soviet MiG-15. The USSR built over 15,000 MiG-15s, many of which were supplied to other nations of the socialist bloc. Pilots flew the MiG-15 in dozens of mid-20th century conflicts, from local skirmishes to major clashes between global powers. Its direct rival was the American F-86 Sabre, the most mass-produced combat aircraft in Western aviation. All in all, including Canadian and Australian variants, North American aviation assembled around 8,000 Sabres, which is also quite a lot. The Sabre and the MiG emerged on the threshold of the supersonic era, but it was their direct successors, the American F-100 Super Sabre and the Soviet MiG-19, that finally crossed that line. These aircraft featured wings with greater sweep and far more powerful engines. The F-100 prototype broke the sound barrier in May 1953, while the MiG-19 did so in early 1954. By the end of 1955, both aircraft had entered service, and from then on, the sonic boom became just a routine, everyday sound for military pilots. Nothing out of the ordinary here. It was during the Cold War that military aircraft speeds soared far beyond Mach 1. Some interceptors, reconnaissance planes, and strategic bombers even reached Mach 3. Among the latest Cold War-era aircraft in War Thunder, the highest speeds belong to the Soviet Su-27 and the American F-15E Strike Eagle. The Su-27 could reach 2,500 kilometers an hour in level flight at high altitudes. However, the absolute speed record goes to its American rival. Even early F-15 variants surpassed 2,500 kilometers an hour, while the Strike Eagle could exceed 2,700 kilometers an hour at high altitudes, making it the fastest aircraft of any class in War Thunder. Another notable mention is the American F-111F bomber. While it's capable of reaching Mach 2.5 up high, the bomber can also go at 1,600 kilometers an hour at low altitudes, a feat unmatched by most fighter aircraft in the game. For a long time, speed was one of the most crucial performance metrics for military aircraft. But toward the end of the Cold War, designers began exploring another advantage: stealth. The US Air Force spent $6.5 billion developing the most expensive aircraft of its time, the radar-invisible F-117 stealth attack aircraft. When it was introduced, it was hands down the most technologically advanced, mass-produced combat aircraft in the world. Even with their considerable economic power, the US only managed to field 64 of these machines, each costing around $42 million 1980s dollars. Many aircraft served their nations for decades, making it difficult to crown a single champion in terms of longevity. However, two rival fighters from the Vietnam War do stand out in this regard. We're talking about the MiG-21 and the F-4 Phantom II. These aircraft could reach Mach 2, a speed that remains impressive even today. Their adaptable designs allowed for continuous upgrades, keeping them relevant for literal decades. In fact, some countries still operate them today. The MiG-21 entered service in 1959, the F-4 in 1960, meaning they've remained in active duty for over 65 years. Only in the coming years will the last of them likely finally retire to museums. No discussion of aviation records would be complete without mentioning helicopters. This class of aircraft emerged on the battlefield during the Cold War, becoming a symbol of many conflicts. The first dedicated attack helicopter was the American AH-1 Cobra. Bell's designers managed to give it everything you could want, combining exceptional flight performance, heavy firepower, and decent armor, at least by helicopter standards. During its debut in the Vietnam War, the Cobra repeatedly proved its worth, becoming an icon of this new era of rotorcraft. The most mass-produced combat helicopter, however, was the Soviet Mi-24 Hind. It was conceived as a gunship transport hybrid, essentially a flying armored personnel carrier, with around 3,500 units built. Despite its high cost, its balance of price and performance made it the most widely produced attack helicopter in the world. Meanwhile, multi-purpose helicopters were manufactured in even greater numbers. The most widespread of this type are the American Huey and the Soviet Mi-8. Around 16,000 Hueys and over 17,000 Mi-8s were built, with both still in production today. As for speed, the record belongs to the British Westland Lynx, also known as the G-Lynx, a light attack helicopter that, after its engines had been specially modified for that very occasion, reached the speed of 400 kilometers an hour in August 1986. The Cold War era created countless groundbreaking combat vehicles, many of which remain in service today. Ideas that were decades ahead of their time were routinely brought to life, often born from the invaluable and hard-won experience of those tense years of rivalry. Which aircraft from this era do you admire most? Ones that achieved legendary status and became symbols of their time? Or the lesser-known vehicles with their quirks and unique strengths? Share your thoughts in the comments down below.